Hey, welcome to Ike's Vintage Tech. Today I've got a Compaq Prolinea 5100. It's got a 100 megahertz processor and 64 meg of RAM. Let's go ahead and put Windows 98 on it. Please insert the following disk into drive A or your CD-ROM drive. Alright, I guess we're doing it the hard way. Welcome back. In order to do this, we're going to need about 39 floppy disks. I've got a 30 pack right here. I've already started making some ahead of time, and I've got a few extra floppies on the side here in case I do come across any bad ones. With these old floppies, it's about 10% failure rate is what I've found in the past, so I'm sure I'll get a couple lemons in here. Not a big deal. I have quite a few floppies now, and more importantly, you're going to need coffee for this one because it's going to take a few hours. So let's get started. I've already got the first disk in here. So let's go ahead and pop that second disk in. I am doing this blind, so hopefully I don't miss. Now I don't expect you to sit through the whole 2.5 hours of me doing this, so I am going to edit out some of the junk. But let's get started. Now, not only am I putting these floppies on here, I've got a bunch of blanks still, and I'm going to be creating the floppy disks on this machine right here. Now I did plan on using a laptop instead of this big tower next to me here, but none of my laptops that I have readily available support writing in DMF. DMF is a 1.68 meg floppy disk, so you take your standard 1.44 and it just uses a different format that uses a little bit less space and leaves more room for the data. So a lot of these disks, in fact all of the disks except for the first two, use DMF mode. So you're going to have to write floppies in DMF. To do so, I'm using WinImage on a Windows XP build that I have on this Pentium 3 tower here. That works just fine. It is a little lengthy, so instead of me spending an hour and a half making these floppies and another 2.5 hours installing Windows 98, we're going to do them together. Alright, so it's going to perform a system check real quick. Now while this is going on, I am going to cut out anytime I go for a bathroom break or to make a coffee. They kind of go hand in hand. So I wish they were a sponsor. I don't have sponsors yet. I'm not that big. But 22 Sierra Coffee makes a great coffee. I'd highly recommend it. It's veteran owned. Just great coffee, small company. Go support them. That's a free ad if that counts for anything on a small channel like mine. So I've only got about 8 disks ahead of me here. So I'm going to go ahead and start making new ones as this continues to load. Now all these floppies are new. I was able to get them really cheap, like $20 for 170 of them, and they're all brand new. So I'm very happy about that little deal I got. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and write disk. It's going to tell me, are you sure? It's going to format it. And there we go. That's that. So now you noticed I do have labels on here. I went out of my way. I went and found the original images of the floppy disks that Microsoft sold with this thing, and I went ahead and printed out labels. So if any of you want to do this on your own, hit me up. I'll get you the file so that you can easily print your own. There's a disk error right there. So there's the first bad disk. There's going to be more. So I'm going to abort that and just start over. And while we're waiting on that, we're going to go ahead and continue setup. Now it says estimated time remaining 30 to 60 minutes. That's based on CD-ROM time, so I'm willing to bet this is going to take a little bit longer. Okay, here we go, disk 2. Go ahead and make a little stack of them here. Now if any of these fail, I can always just rewrite new ones. I'll just reprint some labels. I've got plenty of those. I got the pack of blank labels on Amazon for like $11 for a pretty decent sized pack. So any of you guys that like a nice clean floppy disk without the markers on there, that's the way to go. To get the ones that fold over the floppy disk, those are a little bit more expensive and just not worth it. The market for that particular size of Avery labels has dried up because they were only made for floppies. This particular size label is still pretty common on a lot of other things than floppies, so you can still find them pretty cheap. Not only that, though, the ones that you do find that support the little fold over are going to be old, and a lot of this old label just peels off as soon as you stick it on there. These are pretty good. Here we go. Might be another bad disc. Let's give it a retry. All right, I'm going to abort that one. And we'll pick another. Luckily, I've got 174 of them. Okay, over on this side here, we're going to accept the agreement, hit next. It's going to ask for a product key. I have a totally legit product key that I bought in 1998. Okay, the key was accepted, which is good. Just going to choose the Windows directory, pretty standard there. I've had a few failures in a row, so let's see if I can get this to format. Hopefully my floppy drive isn't giving up the ghost. I have others, but I like this one. It's clean. So let's hope I didn't put too much stress on it. While I'm testing my floppy drive, let's go ahead and just do a typical install. $139 it jumped to. Okay, so that was able to read. So maybe I just got a few bad discs in a row. I am not going to create a startup disk. I have plenty already. Okay, it is asking to go back to disk 1. Where are you? There you go. Disk 2. Now, I'm not going to toss these bad floppies just yet. I do have other floppy drives that might have better luck formatting them. I do have like an LS120 drive on my laptop that is really good, really fast. I wish I could have done these formats with that. Unfortunately, it doesn't support the DMF format. At least I couldn't get it to work. So I will hold on to these until I verify they're actually trash before I toss them. Back to disk 3. Now I could also always use them as coasters. That was always the joke back in the day, that and CDs. So, you know, if they are garbage, you know, reuse, recycle. The other thing you want to check when you're using old floppies like this is give it a quick look. See if there's any mold on it. I don't know how these were stored. I just bought them recently, so the guy could have had them in a damp basement or a wet garage for the last 20 years. So it is good just to pop it open, give it a quick look, and that way you don't want to put moldy discs into your drive. If you do have moldy discs and there's data that you absolutely need to recover, there are ways of cleaning it with 99% isopropyl alcohol. But you really don't want to do that unless it's data that you absolutely need to recover. If you do something like that, get it as clean as you can and use it in a floppy drive you don't really care as much about. So that looks like that copied. So my fear that the floppy drive was dying for now was premature. I think the drive is good. This whole computer has very few hours on it. So the odds of it being bad discs is much higher than the floppy going bad, you know, knock on wood. So now that I got the disc made, this is my favorite part. If you got an OCD like me, you have to take your floppy label here, get it exactly on the edge and even left and right, and just get it on there nice and centered. That way it just looks like it came from Microsoft. I even put the do not make illegal copies warning on the bottom, so I'm sure they don't care anymore. Please Don't care, Microsoft, please. So there's disk 8. We are now up to disk 4 in this machine here. And let's get cracking on this, because this one's going to catch up faster than this one. It is probably reading a lot quicker than this one's writing. So we are up to disk 9. And if I do run out of these disks, I do have a pack right here. Unfortunately, this is making my OCD twitch. They are silver covered and not the nice uniform black covers. Probably gonna have to use them now that I've gone through a few bad ones here. It's gonna bother me, but it'll work. And if I really have a problem with it, I can just be on the hunt for these things and get more of these. Floppies are getting a little harder to come by. I've seen people charging like $1 or more a floppy. I got this whole kit for like 11 cents each, so I'm perfectly happy with that. All right, coffee is out for now. Next time you see that cup move, it means I went downstairs and made another. Let me move it over here, and I'll put this little guy more front and center where he belongs. Okay, we are up to disk 5. This thing's going at about 2 disks per 1 disk over here, so glad I made a few extra ahead. All right, another successful floppy. Good news. We're up to disk 6 over here now. And I am up to disk 9 that are made. Okay, here we go, disk 7. It is asking for disk 8. Now, I recently picked up this Compaq computer on Facebook Marketplace. A guy about an hour north of me had it for $20. And we usually take long drives on the weekend anyways, just so the kids can get out of the house, see the world, usually take a nap. That's the primary reason. So we went up there, got this thing, and it was in pretty good shape. Let me put in disk 10 here, or disk 9, while I'm telling my story. So we went up there and I picked it up. It's in pretty good shape. It couldn't get it to boot on anything at all, from what I understand. And it turns out this thing doesn't have a BIOS. Compaq at this time managed all the ROM information over a floppy disk. So you had to boot to a floppy disk on this thing to edit any of the configuration settings, which is a bit wild when you think about it. Every other manufacturer back then just about was using a BIOS at the time. This is made in '95. It's not like it's some ancient 80s tech. This is fairly modern for the time, and Compaq was using a floppy disk to boot up to edit your BIOS. So if you lost that disk, or your hard drive died and you didn't have the partition that they install it on, you'd be pretty SOL. So I was able to find the image and I booted it up. That's where I was able to see it's got 100 megahertz processor, all that stuff. All you see at boot is it does a RAM check up to 64 meg, because that's what's installed, and that's it. It just says no system disk. So for something like this, which was a modern computer, it was a business machine at that, to not have a BIOS is pretty wild, especially when it's so common today. So we are up to disk 10. I'm making disk 11 right now. So we're as fast as this thing writes at this point. So it says 109 minutes. It's going to be a little bit longer. Luckily not for you guys. You don't have to sit through everything here, but I do. Disk 11, we are out of disks. So seeing how this has another 80% to go, and that disk is going to be done before that's even done, I think it's a good time to make another cup of coffee. 22 Sierra. Okay, got disk 12 finished here. I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. I've got disk 13 being made as we speak. And now we are basically waiting on this guy to finish. The write speed is obviously much slower than the read speed over here. This is where it gets fun. So the reason this is a little slower than this is at reading, this is formatting the disk and copying the data over. So there's, twice as much work going on over here. This floppy drive might even write faster than this one reads just because of the age difference. But nonetheless, this has to format it and write the data, so it takes a little bit longer. And there we are waiting for 13. This guy is at 64%. So it'll be a minute. Now you might be asking, why don't you just install a CD-ROM on this and make it easier? Well, that's a boring video. So half the stuff I do anymore is, how do I make this interesting on YouTube? So my sacrifice is your entertainment. And honestly, I haven't done a floppy install of an OS like this since the 90s. So it looks incredibly boring, and it is, but I enjoy this. It's almost therapeutic. Sadistic, but therapeutic. Okay, I am making disk 14 as we speak. It's 50% done, and this one's already asking for it. So this is going to be a long night. By the way, it's like 11:30 at night. I do work tomorrow, but I don't have to be in early, so late night. All right, disk 15 now. File copy progress is still 20%. So hopefully that starts going up closer to 100 soon. Considering there's 38 of these disks that we need to copy, and almost halfway there, and we're not at 20. We're only at 20%. Okay, disk 16 going in. Whoop, going 8. 15 coming out, 16 going in. That is another cup of coffee down, if anyone's keeping count. All right, here we go with disk 17. I'm not sure, I might just create a few of these, let this catch up, and then I'll start installing them, mix it up a bit. All right, I got a decent cache of disks here, pun intended. Let's put in disk 18 and get going. All right, here we go, disk 19. Disk 20 now. Here we go with 21. There we go. Getting tired. 22. And 23. Had another bad disk on that last one there. I am down to one disk that has the black cover. So after this, they're all silver, unfortunately. I might be able to transfer the covers over. It's really not that important. Just a little pet peeve of mine, but I think I can live with it. And 24. And 25 now. Okay, last black covered disc, which is going to be disk 29. So 30 through 38 are going to be silver, unless this one fails. And here we go to 26. All right, so I'm going to take these discs out and set them up right here. If that's all I need, that'll be great. If any of those are dead, got quite a few more in this box and 2 more of these boxes that are completely full. And if I send in my proof of purchase, I can get a pager. Here we go to 27. And I've only got 28 in my hand right now. 29 is being created, and we are back to 1 for 1. So I've got 5 discs that are no good, plus the 2 I threw towards the camera. So that's 7 discs out of the 38 or 39 I've been copying now. Like I said, I might be able to transfer the covers over. It's really not a huge deal, but if I can do it, and I don't bend the hell out of it, I might do it. So see how that goes. I haven't attempted to do one of these cover transfers since high school, back when I needed these things. So if that's something I can do, it'll make them look a little bit more uniform. We'll see. And we'll put in disc 28. All right, and here we go, number 29. Wow, I'm getting tired. All right, disc 30. Now, if you remember back when you used to do these installs, you'd actually read pretty much everything it would put up on the screen here, because the install usually did take quite a while. Obviously, this is the slowest version of it, but even the CD-ROM took quite a while. And yeah, you'd have plenty of reading material while you're waiting for it to come up. So now we're waiting on disc 31, which is in here. Getting a little tired, but we're going to push through this. We're going to make this work. This thing doesn't have a sound card. Okay, I'll have to fix that. Here we are at 31. Now, a little history about this computer, since I have plenty of time to talk about it. It's a Pentium 3, 750 megahertz. At the moment, it's got 256 mega RAM. You can upgrade it up to 768. It's got 3 memory slots in it. This was the first type of computer I personally paid for on my own. The one I had was a 333 megahertz Celeron with like 32 mega RAM, 3 gig hard drive. It was the base model that cost me $1,800 in 1998. So to get this, many years later, I pretty much maxed out what I could have gotten at that time in 98. Now, 98 didn't have 750 megahertz. I think they were like maxed out around 450 or 500, off the top of my head. I could look it up and get you a real number. But this is what it came with. It came with a 750. I did put a 250 meg zip drive in it. Creative Audigy 2 with a Sound Blaster Live. It already came with the writer in it, floppy drive, and I did replace the drive up here with an actual DVD writer, and the system is pretty sweet. It's got a I forget the graphics card that is in there, but it is an AGP graphics card with 128 mega RAM, I believe. Pretty sweet. It's a dual DVI setup. This monitor here, I have 2 of these. This is a matching monitor. I believe these came out around 2000 or 2001. This is a pretty sweet monitor. It's not great for gaming, but it really fits the aesthetic. And if I do any gaming on this, I'll use a real monitor. I've got a pretty decent gateway monitor I just picked up from like 2006, so definitely newer than this, but it's, keeping that cow box on there. So this is asking for disc 32. We got another 28% to go. So continue talking about this. On the back side, I have not installed a USB card yet. I'm going to swap out the modem because I don't need that anymore, and put like a USB 2 card in here. It does have 10, 100, 1000 gigabit networking, so that way if I do have it on the network, I can transfer large files off my NAS. You saw that NAS in the last video I did. I have not set it up on the rack yet, but it is pretty much ready to go. I have not changed the hard drives out. They still have the Ultra SCSI 320 drives in there right now, and that's good enough for now. As I fill those up, though, I will definitely need more space. All right, here we go with disc 32. 5 more discs to go. In the video, it'll seem short, but each disc is almost 5 minutes of writing, and maybe 4. I didn't actually time it. So we are getting there. This says 65 minutes left on the install itself. That's probably fairly accurate. Just depends on how fast I can get these written. And here we go with 33. While we're waiting on disc 34 to finish, a little bit about this machine. The previous owner may have taken a few cards out of it. You know, that's his right. I got it for 20 bucks, so I can't complain. There is a PCI network card in the back, just a 10100. I added a video card to it, just a 32 meg PCI video card. ATI something or other. I'm getting tired, I forgot what it is already. But it's a pretty decent card for this type of machine. Any drivers I need to install, I'm not going to take care of that in this video. This is mostly just showing the install of Windows 98. Drivers and whatnot can come later. Because it does have a network card, though, I'll probably just get everything over the network rather than trying to fit video card drivers on floppies. I'm not going to do that. This floppy just finished, so let's go ahead and get the label on there and start the next one. And here we go with number 34. We are almost done. Now, getting back to the specs on this thing, what I do have on the back here is there is onboard video. I'm pretty sure it's nothing fancy. There is, 2 PS2 ports for the mouse and keyboard, printer port, a serial port, and that's it. Everything else is PCI or ISA. There are 2 PCI slots on this, and the rest are ISA. There's a total of 4 bays available that you can choose from. I believe it's either or, so you got the 2 PCI, or you can do 4 PCI ISA, because the 2 PCI that are on there share a slot with one of the ISA cards. If I said something different, I meant ISA. I'm just getting sleepy. It's beyond 1 in the morning right now. So we are waiting on disc 35 out of 38, and we are almost there. It says 37 minutes to go, so it is probably going to pick up quite a bit once the final 4 discs are put in. And a few things I want to do with this, once I do, get everything installed, make sure it works. I'm going to give it a thorough cleaning. The CMOS battery is dead, obviously. It's a soldered on, it's not a 2032, it's a little bit bigger, but it is a coin cell. So I'm going to go ahead and find a 2032 adapter that'll fit in there. I do want to make sure that the holes are going to line up properly. Otherwise, I could always solder in another battery. I prefer not to. I'd rather get something that's easily user replaceable, especially since a lot of old computers tend to sit unused. I mean, I have a lot of old machines. I can't be using every single one of them all day. I don't want to mothball these things and, never use them and just put them as a museum piece. I do want to use them, but realistically, I can't use every single one I have. So having a battery that you can pop out when it's not in use is a very convenient thing for when you have this hobby. The other thing I want to do is these have like these little plastic feet, and the one over there did pop off. I'm going to go ahead and fix that. The 2 on the rear are missing. I did see somebody was able to make a 3D model of it, and you could print your own. So I might be going that route, at least on the rear ones. If I can keep the front original, it'll look nice and clean. But here we go. Let's get this next disc going. All right, putting in number 35. All right, here we go, number 36. So close. There we go. Tired, blind, all the things. Here we go. Last disc to be made. Number 38. Okay, putting in number 37 while the final disk, number 38, is being made. We are so close. Here we go. Last disk to be made. Beautiful. Putting in number 38, hitting OK, and now we're just doing a regular Windows 98 install after this point. Who knows, maybe it's going to ask me to put disk 1 in again, but as of right now, that should be it. We will find out in a second if it's going to ask for any other disks, and we'll see what happens next. If it's just, there we go, now it's asking for disk 6 out of nowhere. So dig that out. Oops. Let's try not to make a mess. All right. Disk 6 again. You should have copied it in the first place. But there you go. There's your disk 6. Okay, now we're asking for, now it's asking for disk 15, disk 18. So random. Okay, so it's looking for a file on the Windows 98 disk 18. So let's find out if that file is on that disk. Here's 18, we're going to open it up. And it's just a cab file. So maybe it's a file inside the cab. Let's go ahead and extract that cab. Drop it right on my desktop. Alright, so here's that cab file. And it's looking for access.cpl. I believe that is it right there. Alright, just in case, I'm going to go ahead and recopy disk 18 here. So just in case that disk is bad, we're going to go ahead and just make another one. I'm not going to take any chances having my installation fail after all this time. So it only takes a couple minutes to get that done. Imagine doing this when you ordered these floppies in the mail and you didn't have all the images to go back to. That must have been a special kind of hell to have happen back then. So at least today I've got everything neatly packed on my desktop here, ready to re-image as needed. And if I do have to reprint any of those, I do have a few blanks here that I didn't use on the sheet. I can just rerun it through the printer on that side. All right, here we go with the fresh disk. Let's see if that is any better. Meanwhile, I'm going to re-image this one just in case. Okay, it looks like that one worked. Now we go to disk 19. This seems to be going a little bit better. We are on disk 20 now. That one, read without a problem. Disk 21 again. Okay, here we go, disk 23. Now I did re-image disk 18 in case that is a problem. So the next time I do this, if ever, that should hopefully work. If not, I still got this to go back to. Disk 25. When will it end? The fun part will be copying all the cab files over later. So, yeah. Disk 26 now. Now we're doing 27. Here we go, disk 28. 29 now. My watch is down to 5% battery. It is 2 a.m. To give you an idea of where we're at on this. 30. Hopefully we're getting to the end of this soon. This is pretty annoying after going through every single disk to keep hopping back, but you know, whatever. I'm not a Microsoft programmer from the 90s, so I have no idea. I'm sure there's a good reason. Are we at the end? I see a thank you. I was in the middle of a yawn and I looked over and I saw the big thank you there. So maybe we're at the end of the discs. That'd be awesome if we are. We're not. Premature thank you. All right, here we go. 31. This has got to be close. Let's see. All right, while I'm waiting, some Windows 98 facts. It was released May 15th, 1998. It didn't hit retail until June 25th, 1998. So that means my entire time in high school was on Windows 95. Well, Windows 3.1.1 and then 95, because I graduated in 98. Trying to think the first time I actually saw Windows 98. Personally, was probably when I bought that computer in the summer of 98. So that would be the first time I actually used Windows 98. And it was my first gateway. We are at disk 32. So that means my gateway that I got in the summer of 98 was definitely Windows 98 First Edition. Second Edition, I forget when that came out exactly, but I would imagine that would be at least a year later. Until Windows ME replaced it. That was around 2000. I definitely know it was 2000. I did a video on OSs from 2000. That was one of them. So yeah, ME would have replaced 98 Second Edition, and shortly after that, in 2001, I believe, XP, that is on this one right here, just blew everything out of the water. It was finally an operating system that got rid of DOS. You could still have the command prompt, just like even today you can, but it really made the operating system much better. NTFS file system. It was much more easy for Microsoft to have a single OS and have just a pro and home user level of it versus having two entirely different operating systems with different kernels completely. This one based off of DOS, Windows 3.1 all the way back, and this one being NT based. It was just a better operating system all around. Now, for nostalgia and video games, you want the thing that'll work best with the games that you had at that era. So that, in this case, would be either Windows 95 or Windows 98. So here we are at disk 33. 97% copied. I think 23 minutes is about the time it gives you after you completely copy the CD-ROM. So I think we are getting real close to the final disk here. Just a couple small files off of each one, I imagine. 34. It'd be really awful if the power just failed right now and all this video was to end that way. That would be truly horrible. Another thing we can talk about while I'm waiting for this to copy is I recently picked up this little cow. It's a Gateway Stress cow. It was the one that was recalled. So, you know, you don't want your kids chewing on it, obviously, because the legs might fall off and choke them. Otherwise, cool little cow. We used to have a whole bag full of them in the back when I worked at Gateway. And this one I, had to find on eBay. Cool little thing. It was still in the bag when I got it. So I'm not going to squeeze it. I don't want to crack it. It's a little sticky to the touch, but pretty nice overall. I am going to get a small display case for it. Just keep it nice and clean. I might even make a display case for it with some plexiglass and then purge it with nitrogen or something like that to keep the air nice and stable for it. Overkill, yes, but there's not many more left that are that clean and not all cracked to hell and dirty from kids' hands and adult dirty hands squeezing on the things. They also have the little stress cube that they came out after this. I don't have one of those yet, but the stress cube was basically Gateway saying, okay, fine, we'll make a stress ball and not have any appendages on it that'll fall off. So they just made a box, reminiscent of the cow box that the Gateways shipped in back then. Here we go, disc 36. There's only a couple more after this. Disc 37, here we go. We're near the end. Okay, it's asking us to remove any and all discs. I hit OK. Restart now. So here we are. You don't see any post screen. It's literally just a RAM count, and then it connects to whatever your next boot device is. In this case, it'll be the hard drive. If you do want to get into the BIOS, like I said earlier, there's a floppy disk that you need to use, and that's how you get into the BIOS. So here's where we find out if it failed. There we go. This is awesome. I'm happy that it is working. I was a little hesitant that, it is a Compaq. They did do weird things back then. And yeah, if I didn't do a correct setting in the little BIOS floppy, or because the CMOS battery is dead, it might not know what to boot off of first. Luckily, it's just working. So there's not much on this thing to install other than the video card drivers. Windows is going to run its own install and finish in about another 10-15 minutes. I know I have to select time zone, stuff like that. So we're going to go ahead and cut through all that. Now this is a rather slow machine with only a 100 megahertz processor in here. I believe the motherboard is upgradable to a 200 megahertz. I do have to do some research on that. It can handle up to 192 mega RAM though, which is pretty convenient. So I will probably end up maxing the RAM out. I believe it uses the 72-pin SIMs. I think that's what's in there. It's not SD RAM or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and add some more RAM, upgrade the processor eventually. Those things, they're pretty cheap on eBay. So assuming this thing does find its way onto my bench, or not my bench, assuming it finds its way onto my desk in the garage along the other computers, I will, add to it, make it a little bit better. I don't need to necessarily go crazy upgrade on all my stuff like I did with this one, but it is nice to have it at least be as good as it can be. Every system I have, I do like to have it be clean configuration as far as what was available at the time. Fairly modern though, as far as it would go for the time. So if I had a computer with like a Pentium 2 in it, I'd want it to go up to 450 megahertz and not just 200 megahertz. This one is a Pentium 1 socket 5 or 7, I forget. But yeah, I do want to get, as high end as I can get with it, especially since those parts are super cheap. So I wouldn't even notice anything. But the new CPU would probably have a fan on it. That's my guess. Just like the 75 megahertz that I upgraded to 120, it did need a fan after that upgrade. Okay, there's all the discs right there. Nice. Let's see. I'd say that's about a 2-cow stack of discs if I, wanted to use a cow as a measurement. Let's see, in this way, it's about 1.2 cows if you're stacking your cows this way. Man, that hard drive is just chugging along. It's the same hard drive I had in the Pack Rebel video. Sometimes you have to cannibalize drives from other systems. I don't mind reloading stuff. It's pretty simple. This reload I wouldn't exactly do this way again. I would definitely grab a CD-ROM to make it go a little quicker. But when it comes time to actually set these things up in a more permanent state, once the room I am in now turns into my son's bedroom because he's almost 2 years old, it's time to get him out of the crib pretty soon. So once he's in this room, everything's going to be moved down to the garage. The garage has to be completely organized, and I'm going to turn it into a giant office basically. So, but that's my plan, is to get all these computers lined up in a nice display type environment, and then as they go onto the desks in a more permanent stature or status, they will then get their final upgrade, final hard drive, SSD, whatever I'm going to throw in there. And that's the plan. So once it's in place, I'll steal from them as I need it for videos. But for the most part, once they're done, they're done. And then, if I have projects for them, I will pull them for videos, obviously. And I do want to have a LAN party eventually with all these computers. And that would be pretty fun, I believe. Another restart. Oh, it didn't do a RAM check that time. So that was convenient. Okay, it's saying 10 minutes now. It is now 2:19 in the morning. I forget exactly what time I started this, but I'll mention it once I look that up. All right, here we go. Choose our time zones. Not that it's going to matter, but I am on the East Coast. Adjust for daylight savings time, which has changed since then. But, whatever. This is the home stretch. This last 10 minutes is usually quicker than 10 minutes. Yeah, just jump down to 8 minutes. It's probably going to jump down to 6 minutes, and then, yeah, there we go, 7 minutes. So, yeah, this is Microsoft time. Usually it's the other way around, where it's much longer than it said it would be. But now it's catching up. There's not much left to do to this thing now. If it had a sound card, you'd hear the startup sound of Windows 98 booting up. But there's no sound card. I'm going to see if I can find a nice ISA sound card. I've got plenty of PCI sound cards available. I could always throw that in. If I find an ISA network card, that would be something I could put in here. And then I would use that other PCI slot that is available for the sound card. So that might be an option I go down as well, especially since PCI sound cards are much cheaper than ISA sound cards, and an ISA network adapter is pretty cheap as well. They're like $20, so I don't have to find a crazy expensive Sound Blaster ISA card where I could just throw in a cheap 3Com 10100 card on ISA, or maybe just 10 meg. I think they made 10100s for ISA. But yeah, that would get the job done. I don't need gigabit Ethernet on this thing, even though I usually put gigabit Ethernet in all my machines that can support it. This one just wouldn't really make sense, especially since the two PCI cards I have I need for other things, primarily video and, like I said, probably sound card. Now, the other thing I might do is I might install USB on here, but it's probably not really necessary because I can also just get stuff off the network. I believe networking is more important than plugging in a thumb drive. As convenient as that is, sometimes it's more convenient just to have everything on the network too. And usually faster because USB 1.0 or 2.0 on this thing is still slower than what the network card could do. All right, there we go. It's jumping down in time again. It sat at 6 minutes for a while, and now we're down to 2 minutes within the last 15 seconds. So this is almost done. We are going to see the final result in probably 16 colors because I don't have the video card drivers on Floppy, and I'm willing to bet they are not included in this either. So let's see how it looks in a second. One last restart, and we're going to be booting into the actual desktop finally. I'm going to call it. It is 2:24 in the morning. Whatever time I started this at, I'll notate in the video. But yeah, 2:24 in the morning. The last time Windows 98 kept me up this late, it was because I was downloading something I shouldn't have been on AOL. That does take you back though, when you see this, the clouds and the old boot screen. I'm not going to bother with a password. Microsoft Internet Explorer 4. That's a thing that existed back then. Yeah, it's definitely 16 color. You can definitely tell what that looks like, and the choppy video here. It's a 32 meg video card, but let's right click, properties, device manager. Let's see what's missing. Ethernet and okay, the Cirrus Logic is the onboard graphics adapter. The PCI graphics adapter, that's the one I put in. ATI something or other. I should really know it, but I'm just tired. Yeah, I just remembered. I didn't have to look it up. It's a Rage 128 PCI with 32 meg RAM. So it's a pretty decent little video card for what it is. But yeah, Rage 128 ATI. That's what I need to get the drivers for this. It won't be hard to find for Windows 98. What is this thing here? I don't even know what you are. Oh, channel bar. Yeah, I don't need a channel bar. None of those websites exist anymore. Let's see. Properties. It has 64 mega RAM. Yeah, not too much on here. Just, yeah, this is what it is. So right click properties. Let's see if I can change the resolution at least. Settings. Yeah, 16 color. That's all it is. Yeah, 640 by 480. So that's the end of the video. I'm not going to do any drivers on this tonight. It is 2:27 in the morning. I'm going to go get a glass of water and go to bed. So I hope you guys enjoyed this very long, very lengthy video. I'm going to cut it down, obviously, so that you're not sitting through 3-4 hours, however long this has been. But thank you for watching. I hope you guys like this. I hope you guys subscribe. Go ahead and leave a comment down below of the most ridiculous operating system install you guys have done over disk or anything like that. It was definitely an experience I haven't experienced in a very long time. But yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys like it. Like, subscribe, stay tuned for more. Thank you. Bye.